So for fall two, the post-secondary status is unique because it's not relevant to the students enrolled on census day. The post-secondary status is going to be a survey of students who exited last year. All right, so the notable points about the PSTS, or the things that you want to consider going into the data population in your local student information system, will be you want to be able to identify who should be involved in collecting the data. So who are your stakeholders? You want to know who to survey, and you want to be able to prepare the survey and know how to input those results into CALPADS, how to get that data from your student information system into CALPADS. So we'll cover that in the next few minutes. All right, so post-secondary students reported are those who have exited secondary education permanently in the 24-25 academic year. These are students who are CTE completers for Fall 2 or those students who have participated in the California Partnership Academy program. The key thing is these students must have exited completely, so they cannot be returning. When should LEA survey students? LEA should survey students between their exit of school and the second quarter following the end of their prior academic year. Essentially, you want to have your CTE completer surveys ready 6 months after those students exit secondary education. So that's why we report those in fall two. January is approximately 6 months from June. It's a little bit longer if your students have graduated in May or exited in May, but that 6 month period of survey has passed and now they're ready to be submitted. So that's generally the reason why we survey our CTE completers in fall two, because there's a requirement to survey the students 6 months after they exit secondary education. So who are the students that we will report for fall two? We're going to report any student who has completed high school or exited in the 24 academic year. These students will be or may not be part of your 4-year cohort, but more specifically, these students need to have these exit reason codes. E230, that denotes them as a completer, and they can have graduated high school, that's a 100 completion status. The alternative pathway, not listed here, that's a 102 completion status. They can be a students with disability with a certificate of completion, that's a 120 completion status. Adult education high school diploma students exited with the 250 completion status, received a high school equivalency certificate, exited with a 320 completion status, passed the California High School Proficiency Exam, a 330 completion status, or completed grade 12 without completing graduation requirements, not a graduate, a 360 completion status, and completed a CTE pathway at any point during their high school enrollment. A student could have transferred into the LEA their senior year, completed a CTE pathway at their previous school. You still want to survey that student because they're a CTE completer. That's important to keep in mind. Or, again, we're focusing on CTE completers, but if they participated in the California Partnership Academy and are a high school completer, we want to survey those students as well. So let's talk about how you identify those students. Many student information systems can generate a list of all the students you need to survey. That's the easiest method. That's the first place you should look. If your student information system does not generate a list, or you simply do not know how to retrieve this list, you can identify those students through a combination of reports in CALPADS. So you're going to identify your completers by running ODS report 8.1a, student profile exit list. You use that report to identify those with the correct completion statuses from those who have exited. And then you're going to identify your CTE completers from the previous years, and you want to account for the past 3 academic years. So 24-25, 23-24, and 22-23. That way you're looking at students from, their senior year, their junior year, and their sophomore year. The year is not strictly important, right? If a student was a completer at any time, grades 9 through 12, we want to identify those students. So the grade level is not nearly as important, but it could help you organize your search. All right, so here we have an image of report 8.1a and the filter before running the report. So you can see on the top left, we've circled the academic year, right? You want to look at those students who exited in the 25-26 academic year, right? We're looking at our current profile exits. Then you're looking at the exit reason, E230, that identifies all those completers, and then the completion statuses that we've listed 100, 102, 120, 250, 320, 330, and 360. The from date and the through date, you're going to align those dates with last year's academic year. So this screenshot is from the previous year. You want to use 8/16/2024 through 8/15/2025, the entire academic year, who left in that period. And then grade levels, again, you want your high school grade levels, right? You don't have to identify them, or you can go 9 through 12. Then you run your report. That's going to give you a list of all the students who were completers. Okay. This is your pool of possible students. These are all the students who have met part one of the criteria. They are completers. Then we want to identify students who are CTE completers, right? So you're going to run 3.20 for a series of years. 3.20 is the Career Technical Education Completer Student List, and you have to run them from last year, the year before, and the year before that. So that's 24-25, 23-24, and 22-23. Again, if they completed at any time, but to organize your group of students, you might want to do grade level. If grade levels were reported incorrectly or a student repeated, you might not identify all your kids. So you may not want to use the grade level filter, or you might want to filter grades 9 through 12 in each report. If you've done it several times, whatever is most efficient for you. So you're going to run this report again for the previous 3 academic years, and you want to identify those students that are completers, okay? And you want to make sure that your CTG IG filter is set to all. I think it defaults to Y only. You want to get all your students. Run those reports for the previous 3 years, identify your completers, match them with the students from 8.1 that are high school completers. So you have your CTE completers. Of those students who completed the CTE program, they also completed their high school requirements, not dropouts. All right. And so you have your list of students. You have a composite list from the several reports you've run. How do you identify these students? How do you get in contact with them? So there's the traditional methods, right? You can email them, you could call them, right? You can have a conversation if they're coming up to the school, but also non-traditional methods, right? Social media, you can gather this information in a variety of ways. The internet, there's several different ways you can solicit the information, and the students can report that to you. So this is a PSTS record in CALPADS. We would have went to this student detail screen, open up the post-secondary transition status container, and this is what the record looks like. So if we start with D, education program participation type code, that field identifies if that student is a CTE or special education completer, or that's their status of their survey, if they're CTE or special education. And it could be California Partnership Academy as well. For fall 2, we want CTE, so that's 20 or 10 California Partnership Academy. Right? We don't want 30 special education reported for fall 2. That's part of end of year. Their result is E, the post-secondary status code. For each individual record, a student will only have one status. However, a student may have multiple records because multiple statuses can be reported. So a student might be enrolled in college, might be in the National Guard, and so they could be in the military, and they might have a temporary part-time job, so they could be employed as well. So a student can have three statuses in that scenario. If they are continuing their education, F is the education institution type, or it could be Job Corps if the student is in a vocational training. If they're in a vocational training, you have an industry field like G, or if they have attained a post high school credential, you have an H. That could be a license or certificate, a professional type of credential. So if a student has graduated from being an apprentice to official plumber, or they've been credentialed in some other field, that would be H. So where would you find information about surveying students? The CALPADS user manual is your source. There is a PSTS toolkit within the user manual. There's a link to the current survey. It was recently updated, so the survey that you should use for this academic year is on that page, as well as a collection of FAQs and instructions for conducting the survey. So please go to the CalPADS user manual, look up PSTS, and within that page, you will find information and the PSTS survey toolkit.